In this video, we're going to cover some camera magic tricks that basically anyone can do. So without any further ado, let's dive into it. What's up creators, Anthony here from the team at contentcreator.com, and like I said in the intro, today's video is all about making magic with our cameras by implementing some relatively straightforward tricks and transitions that anyone can do. For the most part, it doesn't matter if you're using a smartphone or a $5,000 cinema camera. With a little creativity, you can accomplish video sequences that will blow people away. Now in 2022, the digital landscape for content creators and really anyone trying to get their videos seen is an interesting one. Most people on earth are getting bombarded with more content than they even realize, and attention spans are getting shorter and shorter. I know this firsthand as a commercial filmmaker shooting projects for clients with the goal of increasing sales, getting more customers and stuff like that. But even more than that, I know this firsthand from growing contentcreator.com into a multi-million-dollar business. Many of you watching this probably know that we have a series of online courses for content creators that are extremely affordable, namely 14-Day Filmmaker, which has over 50,000 students at the time of recording this video. You probably already know that we've grown this business almost entirely through running video ads on both Facebook and YouTube, which we've been doing for a few years now. Interestingly enough, our most successful ads are always the ones that I start by doing a quick video magic trick, if you will, and it's absolutely because these tricks help our videos stand out in this crazy sea of online content, and it really grabs our viewers' attention, which gets them to watch the rest of our video. Over the years now, we've had countless videos where I do these really simple but fun sequences, and the videos have gone on to get tens of millions of views on social media and skyrocket the growth of our business. So that's why I'm making this video today, to hopefully inspire others out there to infuse a little creative pizzazz into their content, and also answer the many comments we've gotten from people who are looking to get a behind the scenes view at how I create our videos. Believe it or not, there's really just 3 fundamental strategies behind all of my camera tricks, and as simple as that sounds, there's literally an unlimited amount of ideas that you can come up with by just sticking with these fundamentals. Even if you look at huge creators like Zach King in all of his viral videos, yes, he has massive sets and large crews, but a lot of times he's basing his tricks on the same fundamental strategies. He's even come out saying that he doesn't like using green screens, he likes to keep things on the simpler side. So with all of that out of the way, up first we have the match cut. A match cut is painfully simple, but can give you some really cool results if you plan it out properly. All you're really doing with a match cut is framing your subject in the exact same spot between 2 different clips, and then cutting between them, giving this cool effect of the environment changing drastically, all while being grounded and connected due to the similar placement of the initial subject. Right now, you're looking at my lame office, but one quick snap and it magically all looks amazing again. I've even done this with drones before, where I frame up the subject as close as I can in each shot, and then cut quickly, giving this cool road trip montage effect. We've done it again here with Paul clapping and magically summoning all of this expensive camera gear, and honestly, we have tons more examples. It's probably the quickest and easiest effect that you can do. The trick is really just ensuring that you frame things up as similarly as possible, which is really easy if you just keep your camera on a tripod like I have right now. Otherwise, if you're handheld, it'll probably just require a few more takes to really make sure that you've got it all lined up. Up next, building on the match cut, we have cutting on action. It's insane how much you can hide between cuts when you either have the camera moving harshly or a subject on screen moving quickly. The movement distracts the eye of the viewer and can literally make it appear as if cuts disappear, giving the illusion of a seamless video. Not to mention, the excessive motion is also pretty attention grabbing, so it'll likely stop people in their tracks. I was recently filming a video at my old house before moving where I snapped back and forth between the office and the beach at the end of the road. The cuts were relatively seamless, and all I was doing was just ending a shot by rotating my camera off to the right and then starting the next shot by again taking that camera and rotating it in from the left, almost as if it were a continuation of the roll movement that I previously had. We then hide that cut point at the peak of the action, and voila, we have a pretty cool video sequence. So that's just one example of cutting on the action of the camera movement, but you can also cut on the action of your subject's movement. You'd be amazed how much Hollywood relies on this simple practice, especially during fight scenes. Almost every time 2 characters connect fist to face, the camera will cut to another angle, hiding the fact that they never really touched one another, all while giving this effect of a relatively smooth sequence. In essence, the best match cuts are those that cut on action, like here, where I throw this Rubik's Cube up and all of a sudden it turns into a camera. or here where I turn an empty hand into a fistful of money. Now finally, the third strategy, which is really where things start to get crazy, all comes down to creative masking. Now a mask in video editing is simply a transparent window in a video clip that we can draw with our mouse, and if we line two clips up on top of each other, the transparent window lets us see through the clip on top, showing the clip underneath. Now what's also cool about masks is that we can use what are called keyframes to essentially move the mask over time. If we go back to the intro clip in this video, it's really just two clips where I'm saying and doing the same exact thing. As my arm moves over the empty hand, all I do is keyframe a mask to let us see a window through to the other clip where my hand goes from empty to actually holding a camera. By keyframing that mask to move with my hand, it looks real and pretty dang magical. I've used this effect so many times across all the videos that I've produced, like this shot here where the table full of camera gear magically transitions into a single almighty smartphone. We just have two shots framed up exactly the same, and then as my arm swipes over the table, we use that as a natural transition element to pair with a keyframed mask, revealing the clip of just the smartphone. You'll commonly hear this type of transition called a mask reveal because you're literally revealing a new shot through the use of a mask. Another really cool example I did recently was the banana drop, where I take this unpeeled banana and save myself a ton of time by dropping it into a perfectly cut and peeled snack. Again, it's as simple as a camera on a tripod, and for this shot I actually used my iPhone. We record the whole banana being dropped, and we do this a few times just to be safe. And then from there, we peel it and we chop it up while keeping it like relatively intact. We want to maintain the shape of the banana. And then we perform the same exact dropping action. We do a match cut on the peak of the action as it hits the cutting board, which gets us close, but not all the way to the finish line. From there, we do some masking to hide the fact that the rest of Courtney's body moves, which kind of looks unnatural and doesn't line up. And then finally, I nest the clips together, creating one master clip. I throw a transform effect on the nest and then keyframe some motion to sell the smoothness of everything just a little bit more. It's a lot of work for a short clip, but I just love how much you can do by using these three simple strategies. And a quick pro tip, if you do ever watch people's videos like Zach King that do this kind of effect all the time, you'll notice that their videos have a lot of movement, and that's not to say that they didn't film it on a tripod. They filmed it with the camera staying perfectly still, but then they add a transform effect on the back end and give it kind of like a little natural camera shake to kind of sell the magical effect a little bit more. It looks more real when there's movement to the video, and that's exactly why I added the transform effect and keyframe the position in the banana example. Now, applying the same exact concepts, we can also clone ourselves multiple times in the same video. Here you can see that there are three different Anthonys all in the same frame, placing this camera gear on the counter. It's as simple as having three different shots, all framed the same, each with me standing in a different position, interacting with the gear. Now, it did take a couple of takes to ensure that there was no overlap between my different clones, and this is because we need a little bit of empty space where the frames are exactly the same between the subjects to get the cleanest mask. From there, we just layer the shots on top of each other and then keyframe the masks to provide windows for all of the different clips to actually show through. Now, as we transition into some of the more advanced magic tricks here, this is the part where some extra gear comes into play. But if you are looking for a new expensive toy that can also serve as a business write-off, investing in a motorized slider can help you take these effects to a whole new level. You see, for the most part, all of these magic tricks so far have required the framing between the shots to be exactly the same. Any small difference in the two clips just do not line up and we lose the effect. Due to this requirement, we're almost always filming on a tripod with no movement. But one thing that I love about motorized sliders is that we can program a movement and film a scene the exact same way multiple times over and over. This essentially allows us to get the same magical capacity as we did before, but now with real movement, which helps add a whole new dimension to these shots. For anyone curious, the slider that I personally use is from the team at Edelkrone. It's a few years old now, but I'll throw links to all of the gear that I use in the description below so you can check them out if you're interested. I've had a ton of fun playing around with this slider throughout the years. We can get the perfect moving match cut, like in this scene where the camera moves on the slider and cuts between multiple different versions of myself to give the illusion that time is passing while I study how to use my camera. Now, this scene here is actually one of the first things I ever filmed with my slider. I had this idea in my brain of a moving clip panning over my office with one Anthony working on the computer and another Anthony coming in and working on his laptop while sitting on the futon. Same concept as before, just 2 clips filmed with the exact same pre-programmed movement, one with me at my desk and one with me sitting down on the futon. Now finally, one of my most requested tutorials comes from people after they watch this clip. We have what's clearly a moving time lapse, but Courtney here is walking through the scene as if it were regular speed. It's a pretty wild effect and show-stopping clip, but again, it's applying the same fundamental principles. The only caveat here is, again, we need the motorized slider, but here, rather than doing the same program movement twice in a row, we film it once at regular speed, which is the clip of Courtney walking across the frame. Then we take the programmed movement and throw the slider in time-lapse mode, which preserves the movement while also slowing it down like crazy to match the interval speed of the time-lapse. For those of you who may not know, a time-lapse is simply a series of photos taken at preset intervals like 1 every second or 1 every 5 seconds. When these photos are played one after another at a faster frame rate like 24 frames per second, we massively speed up time and create the professional time-lapse. Once we speed up the photos to form the time-lapse, the movement will perfectly coincide and allow us to merge the 2 clips with a keyframed mask and create the desired effect. Now, this clip was actually my first time where I tested this effect, and what I learned was that you can really push the editing and color correction on a time-lapse made of photos, because there's a lot more data in there. Whereas on the flip side, there's only so much color correction and color grading that you can do with a video clip. You can see the difference in the 2 styles of editing shown on the edges of the mask as it kind of follows Courtney as she walks, but nonetheless, I think it's a pretty cool clip, and in future versions of this effect, I was able to match the color correction much more. Here's another example where we have multiple cloned Anthonys in the scene, but with the added element of one of them being a time-lapse. You can probably guess it already. We filmed 2 scenes the same way at regular speed, and then finally we recorded a time-lapse on the 3rd take of the technician working on the actual video. And by the way, you can actually watch the finished product of what I was editing in this time-lapse. It's posted on this channel. We also have a couple tutorials that show you how we actually filmed it. And I think that just about does it for this video on camera magic tricks and transitions. You probably get the point now. Using these 3 fundamental strategies, you can do a ton with your camera. It all comes down to how creative you can get. Hopefully you found the content valuable. If you did, maybe you could hit that like and subscribe button. And on top of that, I challenge everyone watching this video, go out and try one of the tricks that we talked about today. Even if it's as simple as the money grab transition or the basic office lighting change, you'll learn so much more by actually doing it than you could ever learn by just watching videos and taking notes. And believe it or not, that is actually the main focus of our most popular program, 14-Day Filmmaker. People will always ask me, how are you guys able to get people to learn so much about content creation in such a short time frame? And I always tell them it has everything to do with the fact that each section in our program has very specific practice exercises and challenges that literally anyone can do, which forces people to learn faster than they ever thought possible. And not to mention, these challenges are always pretty dang fun. If you're interested in upgrading your skill set in the next 14 days, I definitely recommend checking out the program. It's only $48, but has hundreds of training videos and practice exercises that you get lifetime access to. We cover every major aspect of video creation, like camera settings, professional lighting, cinematic movements, gear recommendations, storytelling, and scripting. Not to mention, we have entire training series on the 4 biggest editing programs around, which is Premiere Pro, DaVinci Resolve, Final Cut Pro, and Adobe After Effects. We also just added an entire program focused on just smartphone content creation, so you can learn to shoot and edit professional content with the camera that's always in your pocket. I also personally host a live Q&A call every single week in our private community to help answer any additional questions about content creation, growing a video business, starting a YouTube channel, and other stuff like that. I'd love to see you join our community. If you want to enroll, it literally takes less than 60 seconds, and the link is below in the description. Other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.